All right, well, that wasn't my smoothest operation, but it's out of the water. Now, I've been storing this in Silva Bay, mainly so I can keep an eye on it and so I can get out of Kenny's yard, because I don't own any land. I don't have anywhere to put stuff. Every minute that it's here, it's costing me money. So, hopefully this will be a quick flip around. But the other advantage to having left it in the water is, as you can see, I now have a water line. Usually these boats aren't left in the water, so they don't usually get a coat of bottom paint, but in my case, I will likely be towing it and or leaving it in the water most of the time. So I'm going to give her some bottom paint, as well as paint the top sides, fix the sails, add the side skirts, fix a couple halyards. There's a lot of work to do. All right, well, it's raining. I can tell it's raining because I just finished painting that boat. So it's a nice blue color, but we'll be sanding it all down again and painting it all over again. Love it, love it. Okay, it stopped raining almost right away after, so hopefully nothing bad happens. I don't know what happens when Brightside gets hit with a little bit of rain, but at least it's just the first coat. So if it's not too bad, I'll give it a light sanding and put a second coat on it, and maybe it'll all work out. But to boot, I also was shooting a time lapse and that goofed up, so there's no footage of me painting it either. Not having a good day. So one of the first things I have to do to get the Tornado running is get some side skirts. I'm calling them side skirts. I don't know what they're actually called, but it's a bit that holds the trampoline tight to the hulls. So a little bit of stitching work and some measuring. I've got them set up, and now I've got to add these grommets. Now, I've never done grommets before, so let me walk you through the process. First things first, you've got a nice workspace. This is a big piece of fur, nice little rubber mat. This is what makes cutting a lot easier. So we line up our die and we select a die that's just the right size. Put it right on our mark where we want it. And then we use this hammer. And this hammer is a bunch of leather wrapped up in a big chunk of bronze. It's quite heavy. And that punches clean through. Now we get a perfect little hole. Next step, set down our anvil. And we've got the male side, the fabric, and then the female side. And last but not least, we got the little hammer for our anvil here. Lay everything out the way we want it. Hammer away. Just gotta check. You want to take a close look there and make sure she's bit all the way around. That hole looks pretty consistent. Check the other side too. That looks pretty good to me. If it's at all uncentered, you can always put it back on, put the anvil back in, and just hammer that side down a little bit. 2 done, 42 more to go. Okay, it's straight up too bright for me to even paint this stuff and see what I'm doing, so. I mean, it looks so white, so clean. It hurts my eyes. It's beautiful. All right, so as you can tell, one of the halyards is broken. It snapped just a few feet from the bottom on the stainless wire. So I'm thinking that I'll pull it out and see if I can replace it easily. And in order to do that, I need to use this chase line here, feed it up around the other piece of stainless. You gotta wrap it with a special knot that tightens on itself. And here we go, like this, right? And I'll do that 2 or 3 times and then wrap the whole thing in tape, and we should be able to slide it through. And this will help me not have to take the mast down and do all this work on the ground. I should be able to do it with this little sacrificial line. All right, well, obviously that didn't work at all. But, you know, in theory, I guess that's what you're supposed to do. In practice, those knots don't work. Okay, so we're back in Liz's shop. We've got the old halyard here. Measured it out, this was 18 feet? 18 feet. But as you saw me dangling off of the mast, we were about 3 or 4 feet short. I would rather it a little short than too long, because if it's too long, I can't actually tighten the jib all the way, because it won't go through the mast, as we've learned. So I'm gonna go with 3 feet, and I'll just have to reach a little bit higher to clip in the jib. And now we just have to crimp up a new half of the jib halyard.
These are NicoPress crimps. They're a nickel-plated brass. And basically, well, you've got your crimper here set up. And what you're gonna do is you'll put 2 crimps in it. Some of the larger ones will do 3. And as I was just telling Simon, there's 2 schools of thought on making your crimps. There is, if you go in the Vanguard book, they say to leave about yay much sticking out. I've always been of the school of thought that you want it to suck in as you crimp. That way it doesn't catch on things like sails, rigging, that kind of stuff. So usually what I do is I will keep it fairly open like this so that I don't lose it. Set it up in the crimper. There you go. And as you can see, it's sucking in. Ta-da!
So I know a lot of the bigger yachts always have eyelets, even in the wire. I didn't put them in this because this is just cheap galvanized wire. It cost me $16 or $17. So I'm going to eventually replace it with stainless. There's no stainless wire that size on the island right now. And the other one didn't have an eyelet either, and it lasted well all those times. So I'm guessing just because it's a small boat with a small sail.
You're supposed to only do 2 braids.
So, all right. So now that the halyard is done, unfortunately my guide line just screwed up. And so now I either have to climb the mast, but on a 345-pound boat, climbing a mast is not necessarily such a good idea. So instead, I'm going to take the mast down, dismast the boat, install the new halyard, and remount it. All right, so if you have a tornado, she's not designed to dismast forward. But unfortunately, I couldn't do it aft because there's a cliff right there and I can't stand off the edge of the cliff. I don't know, we'll figure it out. Lovely!
Oh, we found the pin.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the right way is, but violence was a good choice. Just like quickly and violently.
Yeah. Well, a little rough and talk dirty to it, and it seems to work. Must be
Oh,
female.
you know what I forgot to do?
Take the red one off?
No.
Oh, okay.
The halyard is stuck
I can
halfway.
see your halyard.
Sitting right there. Yeah. Don't worry, I got this pole. Idiot. Idiot. I'm an idiot.
Could be worse.
Okay, so the trampoline has gone on nicely. It's a little beat up looking, but structurally still fine. This rope is a pain to work with, and getting it all lined up has been kind of challenging, but we're getting close to it. I just got to pull it a little bit tighter. There's a couple little kinks to work out. This deck coat, now I did a lot of research on different deck coats, asked for anecdotal advice from some of the sailors I know around here. A lot of them swear by Kiwi Grip, and just as many of them swear off Kiwi Grip forever. I think it's all about prep and all about your surface material. Now, I'm not that big of a fan of Kiwi Grip just because of the actual finish is so intense and so grippy that it's actually kind of painful to walk on barefoot. And that got me looking at this. This is deck coat. It's quite affordable. It's a product by Interlux, and as long as you put on a really good primer, and I swear by that pre-coat primer that I use, this goes on, it looks like just primer itself, but it feels much stronger, a little bit stickier, somewhere between, it's kind of like a wet sandpaper. It just, you feel like you can't really slide on it, but there's not really actually that much texture. So later on down the road, I might put a solar panel here, and I don't have to then scrape off all the material to glue down the solar panel smoothly, because there's not that much structure. I'm able to just glue right over it. So very happy with this, and I think I'm gonna go with the same stuff on my big boat. So this is just a way of me testing it out on a smaller boat. We'll get it in the water and we'll see how it performs, but I'm pretty confident that I'm gonna use this stuff on Old Dog as well. beautiful boat. I really think that naming it Champ is a good idea. I think it's a great legacy for Champ. It's also an Olympic class racing boat. So, of course, the name Champ just makes sense, you know? Hopefully, just as quick as he was, just as nimble and just as loyal. Many of you didn't see Champ in his prime because, of course, I had him for 14 years. But he was an impressive dog, and this is shaping up to be a pretty impressive boat. I'm very happy with it. Real, from wreck to riches here. This boat looks like $1 million, and I'm excited to launch it today. But gotta finish painting this name, and then we have to go over a naming ceremony. Okay, so I retightened the trampoline. It's now nice and taut. I learned a cool trick off of Joseph Bennett, who has Joyrider TV YouTube channel. He sails these tornadoes there. He goes like 20 knots in these things. It's amazing what he does. And one of his tricks was to soak the trampoline before you tighten it. It allows you to stretch it a little bit further. The fibers kind of slide on each other better when it's wet. And as it dries, it tightens back up. So hopefully it'll be drum tight once it's dry, and now the only thing to do is to put it in the water. And to get it into the water, I've invited literally everybody.
Party time! Pivot! Pivot!
Change the angle. The valve's gonna want to straight through. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice and slow.
Are you gonna learn to sail in tornado? Are you? Good girl. That's good.
Now that she is in the water, the next step is to officially name her. Now, we don't actually know what the boat was named originally, but just the same, we're going to give that name back to Poseidon first. I'm using this tag to reference the name, even though there's nothing printed on it. O mighty and great ruler of the seas and oceans, to whom all ships and we who venture upon your vast domain are required to pay homage. I implore you in your graciousness to expunge for all time from your records the recollection of this name, which has ceased to be an entity in your kingdom. As proof thereof, we submit this ingot bearing her name, to be corrupted through your powers and forever be purged from the sea. In grateful acknowledgement of your magnificence and dispensation, we offer these libations to your majesty and your court. Right up to the boobies. O mighty and great ruler of the seas and oceans, to whom all ships and we who venture upon your vast domain are required to pay homage. I implore you in your graciousness to take into your records and recollections this worthy vessel hereafter and for all time known as Champ, guarding her with your mighty arm and trident, ensuring her of safe and rapid passage throughout her journeys within your realm. In appreciation of your magnificence, dispensation, and in honor of your greatness, we offer these libations to your majesty and your court. A little bit more, a little bit more. Oh man, Poseidon is thirsty today.
Up to the tits.
There's 4 winds that we need to pay homage to. The first is the north wind, of which I've chosen gin as our north liquor. Great Boreas, exalted ruler of the north wind, grant us permission to use your mighty powers in the pursuit of our lawful endeavors, ever sparing us the overwhelming scourge of your frigid breath. All right.
There you go, matey.
For the west wind, we are going to use some rum. Great Zephyrus, exalted ruler of the west wind, grant us permission to use your mighty powers in the pursuit of our lawful endeavors, ever sparing us the overwhelming scourge of your wild breath. Okay. For the south wind, of course, bourbon just makes the most sense. Great Nautis, exalted ruler of the south wind, grant us permission to use your mighty powers in the pursuit of lawful endeavors, ever sparing us the overwhelming scourge of your scalding breath. And for the east, a little bit of scotch. Great Eurus, exalted ruler of the east wind, grant us permission to use your mighty powers in the pursuit of our lawful endeavors, ever sparing us the overwhelming scourge of your mighty breath.
There you go, mate. Hey,
She's officially named
yay, champ. Welcome to the club. Hey, the champ.
Hey! Oh yeah. There she is, champ.
Frog is being
Nice work.
How do you like the new boat, honey? How do you like the new boat, honey? Do you like it? Alright, it feels really good to get that boat in the water, but we're not quite finished. We've got one more step, and that is sails. Alright, so this awesome catamaran that I picked up came with 5 sets of sails. 3 of them are tornado sails, including these great racing sails from the 1986 World Championship. And all they need is a little bit of TLC. Okie dokie, so we have rust stains. See that? Hideous rust stains. I've been consulting with Liz, who has a lot of experience with sails and knows a lot more than me, and she says it's not coming out. But I didn't like that, so I went onto the forums on the internet and I've tried a few other things, but none of them worked either. If you have any tips for taking the rust stains out of sails, please leave them in the comments, and well, I'm willing to try anything. Here, I actually have 3 sets of sails for this sailboat, so I took the cleanest ones and cleaned them a little bit more. But we're not quite done yet. Before I get to go sailing on it, the leech line here needs to be fixed. As you might notice, there's a lot of creases in here, and that's because over the years, the rope that fits inside of the sail here actually shrinks, and the sail doesn't. It's quite stable. So as it shrinks, it squeezes the sail downwards and makes it baggier and harder to pull straight. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut these stitches right here. We're going to slide the rope up a little bit, and we're going to stitch it back in, and we should be good to go. starboard rudder won't stick down. The blocking for the jib is totally wrong. I'm basically just sailing off my main. Oh, this is great. There's the power. Hacking. Oh boy, that's over the speed limit. That's more than 4 knots. Alright guys, I am so happy with that tornado. It is, I went out first thing in the morning because I was super nervous about capsizing, about not being able to control the wind. And it's a good thing too, because the sheets I was set up all wrong. There are a bunch of lines missing. I've got a lot of work to do and I've been doing a lot of research. But it is the sport bike of sailboats. It is scary and fast. I was easily cruising at 2 knots without any like wind at all, and then I mean obviously there's something, but I couldn't feel any wind, and then a slight breeze rolled in and I shot right up to 7 knots. Like it was so good. I'm so excited. That boat is capable of making over 20 knots and I am very excited to be doing that. I'm also very excited to share with you the sponsor of today's episode, Skillshare. That's right, a year of sponsored videos from Skillshare. They gave me the thumbs up and they're hopping along on the project. They're going to help us out for the next year. So what is Skillshare? Not that I think anybody doesn't know what Skillshare is now, but let's go through it. It is an online learning community filled with thousands of courses for the low price of less than $10 a month. You can join in and just learn new things that I didn't even know or even think to pursue. One of them that I used a lot in this episode actually is lettering, hand lettering essentials for beginners. This particular course is put on by Mary Kate McDevitt. Honey's running above me right now. In the course, Mary walks through warming up, brainstorming, sketching, refining your sketch, editing your work, and then the final inking of the actual, in my case, painting. She also drops in a lot of helpful tips which really helps somebody like me who doesn't have any experience with this stuff gain the confidence and launch into it and avoid some of the easy mistakes to make. If you're interested in trying it out, I will leave a link in the description. The first 1,000 of you to sign up get a free 1-month trial, and in that trial you can try as many courses as you want and you can really let your creativity explode with the new skills that you're learning and skills you didn't even know you wanted to learn. It's great. It's a great platform. Thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring me for a year, and thank you so much to you for watching my videos. If you're interested, there is another video, the part 1 of these tornadoes, where I pulled them out of a bush and repaired their hulls and just put them together, and there's a lot there. So I'll leave a link to that as well below the Skillshare link. Click them both, check it all out. Thank you so much for watching. See you next episode.